Well, now, who said we wouldn't make it today? Me. I had my doubts about it. We were 5 hours away from here this morning when we started on our journey, which we driving a new car here, not new, but new to us. And it's been quite a day. But you know what? We made it. We made it, and we get to do the show with you tonight, which gives us great pleasure. And we're so grateful to have the great guests that we got here. In just a moment, you'll see one of them, your favorite probably that we have. Ali Pete Wilbur will be joining us. We'll have a unique take on that. I have an interview with her, and she has an interview with me. And anyway, DavidnMoulton will be along shortly. He's the sour part of the sweet and sour. Surprise guest tonight, FreddienWehbe. You're going to see something, a hot new item that you'll see right here, probably for the first time. You want to know about this. So stay tuned. Tell your friends and neighbors. The Buddy Martin Show, believe it or not, it's on the air again. Oh my goodness, she brought the Emmy with her too. Okay. Let's see if we can get this thing rolling. Hold on a second.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the program. If you could see how the sausage is made on this show, you'd never believe it. Because about 6.5 hours ago, I wondered if we'd even be on the air. We were traveling back to Panama City from Ocala, where we've been for the last, 31 days, 32 days, Dawn and I. And we're here for a little bit now. Glad to be home. And we want to thank all the people that made our trip possible. It was wonderful. We stayed in several homes. Neither of mine. I've got two, but they're not available. But thank you to my sweet sister-in-law, Nell Brown, for hosting us and just making us feel welcome and cooking and running errands, helping us pack to get out of town. That was a biggie today. And our brand new old 7-year-old car, which we finally got. We're happy to have that. Thanks, Chris Spears, for pulling that together in time so we could drive it out of there. And it's just great to be here tonight, to be on with you. We're very honored and privileged to do this show, to come in your homes. And it goes up and down. Most of you watch it the next day. That's fine. We don't have as large a live audience as we used to back in the dilly days, right? Dilly. So we'll say good evening to Dan Bond, Tommy Seal, and the gang. They're always early birds. Glad to have them aboard. So Ali Pete Wilbur will be joining us momentarily. I don't see how she does it, frankly. She has a busy schedule in her house. I mean, she needs to win some kind of award. Mother's Day is coming up. Let's give her the Mother's Day of the Year with Gator Bait. Because what she does with her family, and does it well, I might add, very well-behaved girls in the family. One kind of not necessarily well-behaved husband. He's okay. He's actually a good guy. But she balances all this. And believe you me, she makes it work. And she does a beautiful job. And I am so grateful to have her on the show. And by the way, flattered, I finally got on her show. I finally made it to her show after all these times. You got to be a big star to get on her show. So somehow or another, well, probably the fact I gave her $100 helped a little bit. Anyway, evening, Ali.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm here. I can't believe I'm actually here. I made it today. I can't believe everything worked. New computer. I'm going crazy trying to get that squared away. Hopefully that's working good. I'm sure Tommy and Dan all will tell us. And then, the car, I pulled up to the gas station in Bluntstown today, and I actually went to McDonald's, where it's one of our favorite cars, my favorite McDonald's. And I said, "You're going to have to help me because this is a new car. I don't know where everything fits. I know you don't normally take garbage, but you mind taking this bag here with the stuff?" Well, I'm not supposed to, but I will. People in Bluntstown. So I'm getting a lot of help from my friends, Allie.
Well, that's how we all get by, right?
Isn't that the truth? It really is. First of all, how's the girls? How's the family? How you doing? And
Everybody's getting sick. Hadley went down on Sunday with strep throat. Little ones, Emerson and Alexandra, are both now not feeling good. Eric's got one at the walk-in, the pediatric walk-in right now.
oh my gosh.
Antibiotics. There's only like 2 weeks left of school. It's just chaos.
Of course, they have to get sick before they get out of school. And by the way, I know you have to cut short tonight, so we will honor that and get you out of here at a decent time. But it's going to be an interesting show. Dan Moulton reports our sound and picture are good. That's good to go. Thank you, Don. Dan. We're going to have you, and then we're going to do a flip the script deal tonight. I want to ask you some questions that you asked me.
Okay.
And then later on, I'm going to play part one of the interview you had. Buddy Martin is a guest. Your rating soared after that, I'm told.
Absolutely, they did.
Yeah, probably took you off the air. So we'll do that. And I was intrigued by the question that you asked me, so much so that I use it several times after that on my guest. And you asked me generically how I like Billy Napier as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the right way you said it. And I tried to describe my thoughts by saying I like him as a person. I don't really know him that well, but I like a lot of things about him. You said, like what? And I told you a couple of things I liked, and you'll see that interview on her show. And then we had a nice chat for 30 minutes or so. And so I'm going to flip the script on you and say, how do you like Billy Napier as Florida's coach?
I think my jury is still out on whether or not I like him as Florida's coach. Mm-hmm. I like Billy Napier as a person. Mm-hmm. I like Billy Napier as a developer of men. Mm-hmm. I like Billy Napier as a recruiter. I need to see some wins. I think that he has everything that I look for in a head coach outside of potentially that killer instinct. I just need to see it translate on the field. I honestly love the idea of building a program as opposed to building a winning team. And I think that that's what he's trying to do. So like, I follow that. That tracks for me. I think he likes to do things the right way, which also tracks for me. His players love him. People meet him in person and they enjoy him. They think that he believes in the right things. He cares about people, not just, on the field outcome, but he cares about these players as a person. And all of that is important to me. And I like rooting for a program that cares about developing the guys on the field. But at the end of the day, your number one as the head coach of Florida is to win games. So I'm hoping this is the year that we get to see that. There are so many things about Coach Napier that I think are admirable, that I think that are good fits for the Florida culture, but we've got to see the wins.
Fair enough. I'm not going to try to dissuade you from that. I think when you look back at other coaches, starting with Charlie Pell, who was a friend of mine, by the way. I didn't really know him until after he left Florida. And you look at that situation, and you look at Ron Zook, who I still like a lot. Thought he did a better job than what most people give him credit for. And you go to McElwain and Molon, who I'm not fans of, wasn't at the time and not now. When they were hired, didn't like to hire that much. And then, of course, we know what should have been. Dan Moulton should have been the guy. It should have been a slam dunk. In fact, it seemed like the perfect hire at the time. Yeah. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not willing to go. I don't want to go back and adjudicate that right now. We'll start recruiting and talk about that. But anyway, as you said, what are the things you want to see Billy fix?
Well, I always want to see special teams fixed, aspects of special teams. I think there's aspects of special teams that were incredibly good. But I think what's missing there is kind of what's missing overall, which is an attention to details on an SEC level. I think that Coach Napier has a plan. I think, and I think he's been incredibly meticulous, but I don't know that that has translated into players focusing on the details. And I want to see that. I want to see that next level killer instinct. Now, I think there's a great chance we see that this year. I think when you saw what was going on at the spring game, you saw the chippiness between the players, the intensity between them. I haven't seen that at a practice previous to the spring game. I didn't go to any spring practices this year, but I did go to spring practices and summer practices in the 2 seasons prior. And there was never a point in time where I was watching practice where it felt like the intensity of a Meyer practice or a Muschamp practice or something like that. It was like that killer instinct wasn't there. I felt that at the spring game though. So I'm hoping that's something that has been corrected. I think that a lot of that comes from the strength and conditioning staff. So I think that because there's been a shift there, we're going to see that with the players.
Do you think that's why he was fired?
Do I think what?
That was why the coach was fired. Strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. This is, I think I've probably told you this on your show before, but they do a former player thing every summer when they welcome the guys back. They have a lunch. They want them to come out to practice, and I had heard from several of the boosters that I speak to on a regular basis who are not former players that like, oh man, you got to see the defense. They're lighting each other up. They're going at it. They're getting after each other. The defense is going to be so good this upcoming season. And then I sat at this former player event in the stands with Billy Latsko, and Eric was there. My brother, who played linebacker, was there. My dad, who played defense, was there. Several of his teammates, a couple more of Eric's. And all of them were like, oh my God, this defense is slow and soft. And I am like, well, that's not what I've heard literally all summer, but the people I'm hearing it from are not former players. But I'm sitting here listening to, there's probably a group of 20 former players watching this who are like, no, our defense is not going to be good this year. They're not tough enough. They're not fast enough. Like, this is not intense enough. And it's because they were comparing it to their practices. And then as the season unfolded, it unfolded exactly like the former players thought it was going to, not like the boosters that stood on the sidelines expected it to. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But then those same groups of guys at the spring game were like, man, defense has improved. Defense is stepping up. So it makes me a little bit hopeful for this season. Those things have gotten corrected. But it was interesting because those guys were questioning the strength and conditioning then. And so, I mean, clearly I don't have a trained enough eye to have picked it up at that point. But
well, your eyes train well enough. You've been around the game. You have relatives that played it. I mean, you're a bit of a jock yourself. You know the game. And you reported on. But I mean, you look, who does know? Do you have to have a former defensive captain out there to be able to quit? I mean, you can see.
Well, I mean, players credit, the player doesn't know that how they're training isn't how every other SEC program is training or whatever else. They're giving their all, or they feel like they're giving their all. But it needed to be kicked up a notch, from the strength and conditioning staff. You can't fix that in September. You got to fix that from January to August, right? Mm-hmm. That's the time. Your strength and conditioning then is what you see on the field later on.
Yeah.
So then we'll see next season, but I do think has been corrected. And I think, you're one of the top conditioned, toughest teams in the country. That's going to cover a lot of those.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Now, I know you have to go in a minute. I'm going to get this a little bit of this on now because I'm very proud to have been on your show. Honored that you asked me. Hope you'll ask me back many more times.
Absolutely.
And I got a lot of comments about you. Let's show you what Allie did when she interviewed me. She ripped me, man. Here she is.
I did not. Hey, Gator fans. I am joined by somebody who needs absolutely zero introduction if you have been a Gator fan longer than 5 minutes. But I'm really excited. I have Buddy Martin for you today. Buddy Martin has interviewed every single Gator coach for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 decades, right, buddy? His resume is so incredibly impressive. It's almost actually kind of embarrassing to share the screen with him because this man has done it all. He has written best-selling books. He has written for multiple newspapers. He has conquered the internet. Gatorbait is something that has been around for a very long time, incredibly popular. He's got a podcast, buddy. I don't even know exactly where to start with your resume. What is your very favorite thing to lead with?
My favorite thing is that when you were a youngster, you were 15 or 14 or 15, and they were winning championships in Florida, you had clippings on your wall.
I did.
And you had one of mine.
I did.
And so that's my biggest thrill.
This has been really neat. Buddy Martin does the Buddy Martin Show, and I have gone on as a guest regularly for several months at this point.
No, more than that. But probably getting closer to several years by now. You are a hot topic on our show on Wednesday nights. I'm going to say this right now, and then I'm not going to say anything else about you because your head's going to get so big. Because you're so popular on our show, beloved by everyone. Everybody says, that girl, she's really good. Yeah. And I will say right now, you're unequivocally the best, and I don't mean this in a bad way, hottest female podcaster in the Southeast in terms of your knowledge, your body of work, and your work ethic. I'm just going to say, how many mothers of 2 sets of twins have the ability to manage that plus their husband and then have enough time to do 3 or 4 podcasts a week and do other shows like mine? I mean, she's the amazing Allie is what she is.
Oh, well, buddy, I so appreciate that. And I have so much fun doing your show. And we have gotten to talk about all different topics having to do with athletics at the University of Florida. But this is the first time I've gotten to have you on my show to do this. And I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit about Coach Napier. He's obviously headed into year 3, which is one of those things that we've kind of bookmarked, you know or you don't know after 3 years. And you have covered everybody. You are now getting an up close and personal view of the Napier era. What do you like about Coach Napier?
That's a great question. I think what I like about him, he's a kind person, which is something you don't hear much people talk about.
Yeah.
I think he is an ethical person. I think he tries to do what is right. I like that he is patient, although maybe he's too patient sometimes. And I like that his father was a coach. He followed the game, and now he's gotten his moment. All he has to do now is pull the trigger and make it happen. And what a wonderful time to do it this year when nobody thinks he will, against an unbelievable schedule that people have just written him off on. Mm-hmm. And the team has gradually gotten better here, just a little bit at a time. And I just wrote this column over the weekend about, little things happening, the feeling you begin to get, and the signs we see. Obviously on quarterbacks, and now they got a world-class offensive lineman in the portal. Things are happening, and I'm thinking about that old cliche, "Why not us?" as they talk about. But I was thinking about when I came on there. I thought, I've taken both sides of the fence here.
Sure.
I've been critical over the years. I've been known to be critical. But I'm thinking this time around, I'm about to go over to the positive side again. Because, look, every year is a challenge. There are no guarantees. Nobody gets it right on recruiting. Look at the mistakes they made. And all of a sudden, the good things have happened. Yes, I know it's like the Bataan Death March, the back half of the season. But, again, I know I get accused of being a sunshine pumper. Sorry about that. I choose to go into it with hopefully an attitude of enjoyment. So those are some neat things. So those are things I'm feeling good about. I know it's just May, and we have a lot of football. You and I will talk about it all summer long. But I kind of feel like something's creeping up here. I don't know what.
Well, I like the positive attitude. I like the sunshine pumping, but I do want to talk about the other side of the coin as well. So, you've told me the attributes of Coach Napier that you like, the things that you think he is doing right or the the personality traits he has that are positive, but what are some things that you want to see him improve on?
Communications. I will say he made some steps in that direction recently. I loved his interview with Josh Pate.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Josh Pate did a really good job. All I've been wanting him to do is to speak out and show us a little who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did that in the Pate interview. Be a real person. I wanted him to open up the media to the media some.
Sure.
Be a little more open about that. I don't care about the calling in the plays. He's not going to give that up. Whoever it is, he's going to be the final word on that anyway. He does need to resolve the special teams. I know you're not happy with this answer on the special teams question, and nor am I. But I think that, and some people say, and Shane Matthews argues with me all the time, as I'm sure he will tonight on my show, that he says everybody's a special teams coach. All the coaches are. Well, the guy I saw coaching Urban Meyer was the special teams coach. So I think I'd like him to resolve that. He's got some ballers. He's got some players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's got enough to win the SEC, whatever, but I'm a big believer if you go back and look in the history of Florida football, the really great years were the years when we weren't expecting that much. If you go back to 69, Carlos Alvarez and John Reeves, wonderful, Ray Gray was his first year in Florida in 1960. All of a sudden, he was winning 8 and 9 games. We never had that in Florida. Of course, we know about Steve Spurrier and all that happened there in the urban. But when you have the expectation of success and you don't get it, it's gloom and doom.
Yeah.
So,
all right, there's some of that interview with Allie, and I see David is joining us now. Allie, good job. You got some really good stuff out of an old codger who's washed up, but that was pretty good. Let's see if we can find David. I believe he's here now. The Sour Party showed up, and we've been talking about, well, what else? Gator football. I want to remind folks this show is brought to you by our good friend Jeffrey Meldon at Meldon Law. He is, of course, very much a Gator, and he is involved in all kinds of projects right now. He's getting ready to do his Scholar Athlete Awards coming up on the 17th. I'll be able to hopefully be there with him. And of course, you know about his offer to you to tell you if you're interested in his legal part, which he does for a living as a lawyer. Meldon Law now is located in Wilson, Ocala, Gainesville, Lake City, and he says to you, if you have a suit that you filed or one that you want to know more about it, and you want a second opinion, well, they give second opinions in medicine. Why not law? So Jeffrey Meldon and Meldon Law, check him out. Speaking of checking him out, look who's here, Allie.
Oh, you there, David?
You know this guy?
Hello. I just see Buddy, but hi, Allie.
Yeah.
Hi, David. How are you?
I don't know why, David, but it's a flaw of the new camera, but she's here. So,
okay.
All right. We just been doing this with yeah, we're trying to get, can you see that, David? I don't know if you can or not.
Well, it's fine. Let's just do
it. It's the new laptop, and it's not treating me the way I'd like for it to. But anyway, there's David, and then I'm over here on the right. And so we're all here together somewhere. We're just talking about the obvious things. And I was on Alice. I was pleased to be on Alice's show last week, and she made some great points. She asked me a question, which I'll let her ask you and see how you answer it. Allie, although he can't see you, ask the question.
He can't see me, but well, it's two-parter. The first one is, what are some things that you like about Coach Napier?
Okay.
And then the second part is, what are some things you want him to work on?
Delegating would be the second one. I just feel he's doing too much, and they haven't been good at the little things, whether they're slipping through the cracks or what have you. But I would like him to delegate a little bit more. I think they'd be a little better organized. I don't know how they could be worse organized. for a guy whose supposedly strength was organization. They don't look like a well organized team. Maybe the program has become well organized, but the team has not looked well organized to me. I like his ability to judge talent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think he's missed on many people. Now, I don't think he has acquired enough talent, but it seems as if he's got a standard. And if somebody doesn't meet it, he's not willing to bring him in.
Yeah.
I think that Florida has had a huge talent discrepancy, and they just needed more bodies, quite frankly. And I know that they're at the scholarship thing now, and he's doing the dance, but I don't know. I wish he would have run a few more guys off and brought a little bit more or newer talent in. But he is, proven, Allie, at least to me, to be a pretty good judge of talent. He just has to bring more of it in more quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think talent evaluation is probably his strongest characteristic that we've seen so far.
I mean, I saw a thing today, take it for what it's worth, but they were talking about the 2025 draft, and they had Graham Mertz as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the 2025 draft. And considering that 13 months ago, I mean, what we were all saying after that spring game about Graham Mertz. So, and quite frankly, nothing that he did at Wisconsin made us think that when his time was done at Florida that he could be a first or second round pick. And right now, for what it's worth, that pro scouts are thinking he's probably a day 2 draft pick.
Yeah, which is, incredible. But yeah, definitely going to be one to watch. It's interesting. It's interesting that you think about what the narrative was last summer versus what we have now is this summer they're talking about, all right, well, Florida is stable at quarterback. They're the best quarterback room in the state. It's crazy when you pull up the headlines from last summer.
Yes. And thankfully Mertz is as good as he is, because otherwise the freshman would be playing right away. And now he doesn't necessarily have to. I think he doesn't play unless Mertz is hurt or unless, quite frankly, they're not winning.
Right.
If they're 5-2 or better heading into the Georgia game, then, there's no reason to go to the 5-star quarterback. But if they're 4-3 or worse, then you start thinking about, am I coaching for the present or am I coaching for the future?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to hope that that's not the case. I would love a DJ Lagway package every game that we see, but I hope Graham Mertz gets to be the guy all the way through. I think that that's a positive on a lot of different levels for Florida.
Guys, when's the last time that both teams involved in the Florida season opener had this much riding on it? Because this is a monster game for Miami too.
That's a good question. I don't know, because think about outside of a couple of cool openers in the last 5-ish years or so, Florida's played a cupcake in their opener for, the last 30 years.
Well, and even the last 2 years that they did a home and home with Utah. I mean, we weren't talking about the future of the head coach for, either school, where quite frankly, both these head coaches are under fire heading into year 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot going on. Hey, let me mention this real quick. And FreddienWehbe's hanging on. He's got an announcement to make about a hot new item, which nobody else has seen yet. We'll get him on in a second. I know you got to go, Allie. Put your kids to bed. David's got to go make some more sweet and sour or whatever.
I'm good.
You good? I want to get to this part about the schedule. Josh Pate, whose work I'm beginning to have a lot of respect for, did a tweet today, or did whatever he did, and he said, it was a tweet. He said Florida's last 5 games, just the last 5 games, could qualify as the toughest schedule in the country. That's a little different twist. Which, I mean, look, I like Shane Matthews' approach to this too, where he says, opportunity. Knock what I'm off, look what happens to you, right? Where do you guys come down on all that, David? I'll start with you and then Allie.
Well, I mean, Allie, you tell me, do you think that the past two teams have been impacted by the outside noise? Because that's the part you have to wonder about. If by chance they're doing okay, but they're not doing great, you know what the narratives are going to be, you know what the questions are going to start being, and can this group just continue to go to work, quite frankly, and push it aside, or will they get overrun by the noise? And that, to me, I mean, if they're 5-2 or better, there's probably no noise. But my concern is that if the noise starts, and that's why the opener is so important. If the noise starts, can this group push it aside?
So I think that in general, Napier does an incredible job keeping the noise out of the locker room. I think there have been a few times that we can point to in press conferences and things where Napier himself has been a little bit affected by the noise. And I think that there are some players who now play for other schools who, judging by their social media, have been affected by the noise. But I don't know that I think that there's anybody still in Florida's locker room that is particularly affected by the noise. And that is one of the things that Coach Napier has done right. You know, when Graham Mertz went on ESPN and said that it's not about proving other people wrong, it's about proving ourselves right. Like, that's the right attitude. That means that locker room still is completely bought in, which if they weren't, then we're just on this slow death march, right? So, I think they've done a pretty good job about that. This schedule, Pate's tweet basically said that in theory, a top 15 team, a team ranked number 15 in the country, could and almost should go 0-5 without those last 5 games. That's how difficult it is. And, one of the things I said on a different show that I was on last week was that, like, that 06 team is chomping at the bit to play those last 5 games. That 96 team is chomping at the bit. That 08 team, this is going to be an intimidating schedule to this team. And it's not to take anything away from them, but like, it's the teams that are on top that want to prove themselves that get pumped about that schedule. And I don't know that this team is there yet. That doesn't mean that they won't get there, but at this point, that's an intimidating schedule.
And they got to get one of them because, even if they're 6-1 or 5-2, and then if the baton death march starts, let's just say you lose to Georgia and then you lose your first one in November, and now all of a sudden you're 5-4, and here we go. You ended last year losing 5 in a row, back-to-back losing seasons. Is Billy Napier coaching for his job? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's why not only do they have to get off to a good start, but then they got to do what they couldn't do last year, Allie, and we've talked about this. They had the Arkansas game and screwed it up, and they had the Missouri game and screwed it up, and you got to figure one of these 5 games, they are definitely going to be in position to win. Well, they got to close the damn deal.
Yeah, I think so. Coach Napier knows what's on the line, right? I mean, this team is not stupid. They know what's on the line. But you start out and you surprise some people at the beginning of the season, the confidence that builds gives you such a better shot the second half of the year. I really do believe if you believe in yourself and you believe you can play with anybody, that counts for something.
All right, you there, David? Yeah. I think we've got standing by in the green room and the orange and blue room, and now it's Freddie Wehbe. If you just stand by 1 second, Freddie, we're going to say good night to Allie, and they're in the middle of a conversation. Hopefully you guys can see there's a picture here. I'm trying to call up, which I think you guys will be interested in seeing. Let's bring Freddie on. Allie, you can feel free to drop wherever you have to go.
All
And so let's see. Let's get Freddie up here. He's taking his time out to. Freddie, you might not be able to see David, but he's there. David, can you see Freddie? Probably not, right?
No, just see you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
Hello, David. Hello, buddy. Hello,
Hey, Freddie,
Ali.
how you doing? I'm going to try to see if I can figure out how to get this photo up that you sent me because I'm on the phone with my producer as we speak right now, trying to figure out how to do it. But why don't you explain what you're doing, Freddie?
It's not really what I'm doing. I'm just helping behind the scenes, helping our football coach do something that's pretty cool, different. And yes, it's not football, but it really shows the goodness and the ethics of the program and what he's trying to do. Last year during the Arkansas game, I believe that was in November, the game was saluting those who serve game, and the team wore all black jerseys, if you recall, black helmets, and each jersey had a name on it on the back of 5 different things: honor, commitment, excellence, integrity, and what have you. And these represented 5 branches, 4 of our military and 1 first responders: the U.S. Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force, and first responders. And really, this was to tribute to all those folks that serve and give back to our country and who keep us going. And the game was to salute them. Coach Napier purchased 5 of those jerseys himself, and he's going to auction them off and donate them all to the Fisher House here in Gainesville. And the Fisher House basically is part of the VA system. If you come to Gainesville, go to the VA hospital, if you're anywhere in the state and you can't afford a hotel room, you can stay for no charge at the Fisher House. They do a great job, and they kind of recognize, all these special sacrifices our men and women do in this country. And all these proceeds on this auction will go towards the Fisher House and help families. Over 1,000 families attend the Fisher House each year, which is pretty amazing.
That's great stuff. I don't know. I'm going to try now to see if I can put this jersey up on the screen. I'm going to put my face up first so I can actually put it over my face. Hold on a second. And then see if we can make this happen. And now, can you see me, David, right now? If you can see me, you might be able to see this. Right? David, can you see
Buddy,
that?
no, buddy,
Okay.
all I can see is you. So,
Okay.
and
Well,
it's
I don't
fine.
know. Yeah. Anyway, we'll send it to you. It's a black jersey. It says honor on it, number 23. This is one of the 6 that Billy got. And I wanted Freddie to get a chance to show. Hopefully, folks, you can see it out there. We'll post it later. Make sure it gets on Gator Bait, whatever. So anyway, Freddie, as you know, a busy man getting all this stuff done. Freddie, those jerseys, again, just explain to Fisher House what it is. And tell us about it.
Fisher House is basically a hotel for military and veterans and past and present. And if you can't afford to stay in the hotel, you come into the hospital, your family and you can stay there at no charge. They're funded by our government and public and private money as well. They do a great job. Over 1,000 families stay at the Fisher House each year, and the Fabiani, Patty, and Rick run the thing, and they do a fantastic job. Coach Napier was looking for a good military place that manages money well, takes care of the vets and the military and first responders, and we found in the Fisher
I'm
House.
hearing some noise from someplace. Sorry about that, folks. I'm sorry. We're having some kind of scratchy noise in the background. Freddie, we got the pictures up. I promise we're going to post it. Get them on Gator Bait. Good job as always. Appreciate your time, my man.
You're
Make
welcome.
sure
I want to
everybody-
say one more
Yeah.
thing, buddy. There's only 5 jerseys, and each one there's only one of one. If you're a collector, if you're a Gator, if you like the military like I do, there's only one of those jerseys of each kind. There's a total of 5, and each one represents one branch of the military. And they're autographed by Coach. They're framed professionally. There's not going to be any more of these. If you bought one or you auctioned one up via the auction, you're going to own just the one of one. And you can check them out at auctionsbyatkins.com. That's auction by Atkins with a D.com. The auction is May 25th at 1 o'clock p.m. People are already bidding on them. We have tons of bids already on them. And the auction is live and will continue through May 25th, the Saturday before Memorial Day.
Very good, sir. Great job, Freddie, as always. Appreciate your time, my man.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. All right. It's what it is now these days, David. It's about raising the bucks, right? Get the money bids up there. Good way to do it, I guess. I heard a program today. Somebody was subbing for Paul Feinbaum, and I was on a 5-hour trip from Ocala to Panama City, so I used the time to fill my brains with nothing. But he brought up a good point or two about this, about you don't want to lay out $6,000 for your season tickets if you're a working guy and come back and someone say, I need $100 for a cornerback. That's the kind of thing, David, you and I know is just the danger that college football is in.
Right. And it's why for how much longer, buddy, can we, the fans / boosters, be paying for everything? That's why I think, is it 2-3 more years? Is it this 6-7 year deal for the 12 and 14 team playoff? Will we be okay with the status quo going through 2031? I just wonder how much longer the fans, the FreddienWehbes of the world, even the people with money who have access to money and connections and want to do what's best for the school they love. But how much longer can the burden be on us? And you guys are cashing how many tens, if not hundreds of millions in TV deals and sponsorship deals and everything else? And what are you guys paying for again?
Great point.
And that's why I think, buddy, and here's the other thing. Like, let's just say you're Ohio State, you're Georgia, pick the schools that in the last handful of years have had a lot of success. Those boosters, buddy, I think are more willing to keep going to their hip, to keep bankrolling, because what do fans and boosters want? They want their team to win. And if they feel they're actually helping them win, okay, they'll keep doing it. But that's the danger right now that a Florida is in, that a Miami is in. If you're scuffling, you rally like Freddie's doing right now with the Gator Collective. You're rallying the troops, so to speak, and this will probably work for a year and a half. But after a year and a half, the people donating money need to see some results, or else they go, "Nah, man, come on." How much more can you ask from me? I'm holding up my end of the deal. You guys aren't holding up your end of the deal.
Great point. I'm going to bring up a point that I heard from this guy today whose name I can't remember. It was on Feinbaum's show. He had a terrific point about why they should be made contract employees of the university. Before I do that, I want to tell you about our friends at Titan MRI. I want to pay some bills too. North Central Florida's newest premier independent diagnostic testing facility. If you don't know about it, it's in North Central Florida. They will custom make their appointments for you. If you work and can't get there, you have to come at night or come the weekend. They will change their hours for you to come have your MRI. And by the way, if you don't have insurance right now, but you have a need, you can go there with a cash or card. It's not extraordinary. It's not terribly expensive as you might think. And they will be able to take care of you there with a cash card to your insurance. So if you're interested in that and also concerned about claustrophobia, they're working on things there with their MRI units to give you a better experience. TitanMRI.com. All right, contract employees, this guy said, and he says, he's making a good point here. If you have a contract and you're working for the university, you can say, you know what? You will be at the bowl game. Right? You will be
absolutely.
Yeah.
A contract's a contract, right?
You will fulfill your obligations to show up for your sponsors, right? And by the way, we can fire you.
Yes. I mean, I know most fans are not thrilled with the idea of the players becoming employees, but there's 2 reasons why I'm in favor of it. And it's not just for whatever benefits the employees would get out of it. It's for the employer as well. Okay. Then you get to now have the hammer. We all know, I mean, working for somebody that they have the hammer over us. They can put conditions down that we have to live up to. And one of them also, buddy, is you can be fired, or you can sign someone to a multi-year contract.
Yeah.
The terms are negotiated in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah.
And then when that kid lives up to expectations, he can't come to you and say, I need a raise. You go,
Right.
well, it's already been
Right.
negotiated what you're going to
Right.
make. Here it is.
That makes a lot of sense to me. It really does. I think it's something that the more I think about it, when they sort this thing out, there has to be some accountability, even in the wild, wild west. And I think we're all nearing that point where you say, how many times can you get Freddie Weeby go to the well and say, hey, we need you right now to be competitive? Because the thing is, if you don't get the money and you're not competitive, your funds are going to dry up. What are you going to do then, right?
Right. I had a long talk on our show today with Amanda Kristovich, who's covering the business of college sports for Front Office Sports. And, buddy, it really seems as if the NCAA and the Power Four, if you will, they need Congress.
Yeah.
They need Congress to enact some
Yeah.
legislation, pass some rules,
Mm-hmm.
and whereas the athletes, they're in the court system and they're winning. And that's why it seems as if, all right, to slow the whatever you want to call it, damage, whatever, the tide. If you're the NCAA and big time sports, since you're not winning in court and it doesn't look as if you're going to win anytime soon, you need Congress to essentially override the court and come up with a system and some areas of protection that you can go forward with the plan that you want to go forward. Now, I know we're all scared of Congress getting involved, but the NCAA and the Power Four are pleading with Congress to get involved and to pass some legislation that will allow them to create a business model that is not the business model that we're currently having to live with. And, buddy, I can see you and me now at the same time.
Isn't that amazing? I just got to know from my producer, and he walked me through it as we were telling that story. And I went, wow, we did it, David. We did it. Dumb guys like us, we don't get things right very often. But thankfully, with a brilliant producer, we get that. So, yeah. So, David, yeah, I think I'm really kind of sort of talking. I'm really talking on top of my head. I don't really know much about this. And I'm really tired of talking about money, as I'm
Sure.
sure many people are.
Yeah. Right.
And I just want to get back to football, David. You and I are football guys. We like to sit and
Mhm.
talk about the secrets of the dirt and X's and O's and the players coming in and what we like about this player and don't, the coaches, good moves or dumb moves. Not about contracts. It's not what we signed them to do, David.
Yeah, I understand, buddy. But, in the past, we could talk about recruiting. And we thought that recruiting wasn't all about paying kids under the table.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it was about relationships. We thought it was about playing time, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all about cash. It just is. And so, unfortunately, it's another reason why I think the NCAA and the schools really they want to create a system where the dominant topic is not cash,
Mm-hmm.
that they can come up with a revenue sharing system. Everybody knows what everybody's going to make, whether there's a cap, whatever the case may be, and then everybody just has to figure it out.
Yeah. Can you see that black jersey right there?
I can. Honor 23.
One of one. David, you got the kind of cash you can roll out about 10 grand for that baby. As you get that on your show in a day. Just tell your people you want to buy it, and they'll come bring in the money. You can
10
do it.
grand, huh?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of cash, buddy.
Oh,
I'm
David.
working 5 jobs. I definitely don't have that
They
kind
say
of
the
cash.
perfect thing is to have 4 streams of income, David. You got one more than you're supposed to. That's all. Supposed to have 4 streams of income.
You know what? Maybe my streams need to be a little wider and a little deeper. Maybe that's
Well,
my
David,
problem.
one of these days you'll get a free stream from the government. Well, we're down the road somewhere, but it's going to be a while. So when that happens, so yeah, sorry. So I guess what's going to entertain us for the summer, David? What are we going to talk about? I think I'm going to choose. Dare I say this? I said it earlier. I thought about this a good bit. And I listened to other people. I thought I don't like myself when I get over the top critical. You know, I know I have to say some things that I don't like them, and I will. I've been called a sunshine bumper. I've been called a sourpuss. Whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But for me to enjoy this, I have to have my natural personality, which is to say, hey, what if they knock off Ole Miss next year? Think about what can happen. You're more of a realist, like, okay, well, that's nice to say, but let's see the result. I get it. You got to have. I thought about some of the great seasons I've enjoyed at Florida. There weren't championship seasons, but the discovery and the storylines of the people going way back to '69 and Carlos Alvarez and what have you, those are still some of the greatest storylines we've had at Florida. Yes, Tebow was great. There will never be another promise, and all the stuff that would happen there. And we sit and we wait, David. We listen, we watch. What did you say the other day that you watched over 250 games? Is that what you said in the SEC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when you go there expecting, you don't come there saying, well, so this game is going to suck today, right? You have a little tingle when you go to the press box. Talk about that kind of expectation as opposed to the cold, hard facts that Florida has the most difficult schedule in the country and we'll get their brains beat out.
Well, buddy, where I think I'm different than, a Gator fan is that a Gator fan is going to cling to that feeling for the next 3.5 months. And I'm not. I'm going to sit back and say, okay, August 31st, show me. I know you have it in you. It's not like you're a bad team. You're not a bad program. Okay. I can see 8 wins here. I could see 9 wins here. Okay. But you guys have lost the benefit of the doubt. I'm sorry. You got to prove it to me. And unfortunately, for this team this coming season, they could get off to a great start. And those of us are going to remember, yeah, they lost their last 5 last year, and their final 5 this year are tougher than their final 5 were last year. That's the other thing. That end of the season schedule, starting with the cocktail party. I mean, that's as tough a
I've been
5-game
calling it.
stretch
Yeah, you
as,
called
quite
it.
frankly, buddy, in the however many years, 50 that you've been paying attention to Gator football?
Yeah, maybe a little more. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, is in a regular season, not including tacking on, ending with Florida State and then going in an SEC title game and what have you. I'm talking about regular season. Have you seen the Gators play right now on paper a more difficult 5-game stretch than the one that right now 5 teams all ranked in the top 15 in the country? Back to back to back to back to back. It reminds me, and I know Gator fans hate when I make a Florida State comparison, but what helped make Bobby Bowden at Florida State, it was the early 80s. Forget if it was 81 or 82, but he had a ridiculous 5-game stretch in a row. And I don't know if any of them were at home. And 4 of the 5 were ranked. And he went 3-2 in those 5 games. And that's when Bobby was trying to build Florida State and was, we'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. And that's one of those things that, no, buddy, you talk about you don't have to have the 11, 12 win season to have it be a memorable season.
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine this team goes 8-4, but they win 2 out of those last 5 and lose 2 out of the 3 that they lose late. Okay, and Gator fan will walk around and go, yeah, you play that schedule and tell me how you do. Okay, I'm damn proud of this team. And say they post a 7-5 or an 8-4, and then they go win their bowl game, and Gator fan can go, yeah, Yeah, you play that schedule and get back to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing about it. I go back when Florida football wasn't very good, and all the games were tough. Go back when I started, 5-5 was an acceptable season, but they only played 10 games. Getting to a bowl game was over the top. And Spurrier will tell you all about what it's like to play Bobby Bowden's Seminoles every year when they're ranked in the top 5 in the country,
Sure.
which he did
Right.
every year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard schedule too.
No
So there
doubt.
have been hard schedules before. I think the
But
difference
5
is
top 15 teams in a
no
row.
doubt about it. I get you. And the Reformation part of this comes into play too. The fact they've
Yep.
been so down, and now they
Yep.
have to prove that they're worthy. And it's just it's make or break time. I don't know if
Right.
Billy will be fired or not. I don't think so, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I know people are at a point where they're ready to say, I'm done, I'm out, finished. I give them money, I've done it, patience. I get it. I understand. If you're in it as a Gator fan, you feel a little bit different about it, probably. I didn't come in it. Well, I came in as a graduate and all that kind of stuff. Although I didn't graduate, I was 10 hours short. Came into a person from school there. I grew up with it. I loved it. But I grew out of it when I went to New York and Denver and whatever. It wasn't a be all end all for me. So I looked at it from a little different lens. But I get what you're saying, I mean, I feel for the Gator fans who are giving so much and been so loyal. And I have a great respect for Allie because she's a 5-time legacy. Her grandfather, her father, her husband, her uncle, her brother, they all played for the Gators. And she's wrapped up in it. I don't know. There's a certain part of me that loves those stories for people and families who've lived for this all through it. I could live without it. I could live if they didn't. I'm rooting for Billy. I'm running out of time. Billy's running out of time. What will it be? Which is what I say to you, David. You're very good at what you do. You have an astute mind. You're very good at analyzation. And so that's why I say to you, yeah, I get that's your job and you have to be analytical and all that sort of stuff. But what rings your chimes? What gets you excited? What expectations do you have? And how do you approach it mentally in terms of the season for your own personal satisfaction? Not as a Gator fan, satisfaction of wanting to see the storyline develop. A guy like
Well,
Napier, who by all accounts is a good guy, deserves a chance. Wouldn't it be good to see him turn it around?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want Billy to have the same year 3 that Mike Norvell had when he was 4-3 and had a 3-game losing streak, and all of a sudden it all clicked. Everything that he had worked 3 years on, and it clicked, and the guys produced, and they didn't lose a game for a year and a half. I'd love for something like that to happen, for Billy. What would be great? A season that doesn't get talked about much. Remember Muschamp's second year?
Vaguely. I've tried to forget all Muschamp seasons, but yeah, vaguely.
Well, that was the team that went 11-1 in the regular
Yeah,
season,
yeah,
and outside of the 5 turnover game in the cocktail party,
yeah.
would have gone to Atlanta and had a shot at a
Mhm.
natty. Now,
Yeah.
it was a team that was totally overachieving. It was limited offensively, but they were well coached and they were winning all the close games. And next thing you know, you looked up and you're like, I'll be damned. Okay, we're playing Georgia, and if we win, we're going to go to Atlanta. And hell, we may have a chance to play for the national title. This team that went, 6-6 the year before with 2 freshman quarterbacks getting their brains beat in. And, that season kind of came out of nowhere. Well, now, it was a difficult watch. The football was not exciting. You were winning kind of ugly. But next thing you know, there you were. An 11-1 regular season was on the board, and nobody talks about that year. And that's
You're
what
right.
I
It's
think
kind of the
you're getting
forgotten
at.
era. It's kind of the forgotten era. It is really.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I, I don't know what to say. I don't know where to go with this except to say that I'm going to try for my part saying, what do I want to dissect out of here? Not necessarily sunshine pumping, but what would be pleasing to me would be this storyline developing and getting a chance to watch this player develop, watching this assistant coach I like coaches. I've had historically a great relationship with them, although lately in the last few years you can't talk to them. But coaches have been great. I've loved being around them, and ones will tell you straight up, this is the deal. We're gonna get hammered, whatever. I'm looking for. I love going to the games. I love a few times a year. I love the game of college football, and other than watching a little golf and a little NFL, it's really kind of my life right now. So I'm hoping to have a good team to write about. I'm hoping to see some success stories. And there's a couple of guys I root for. I root for. I root for Derek Winga. I think he's a special guy. So will he be an NFL player? I don't know. It's all about that, though. So anyway, I'm hoping for good stories. I like the fact that I'm in a business where I can really talk about people who are for something instead of being against something, which you see
Well,
all day long on Fox and CNN.
well, you certainly can be for it in May. I mean, I will say for the next 100 days, there's no doubt about it. The glass is half full, and the world is your oyster, and pick the cliche, and it can be true. Hope springs eternal. This time of year,
Is that stupid, David?
no, it would. I would be sad and a little worried about you if it was the other way, quite frankly.
Well, I read a just random tweet the other day from a guy named the Astute Alligator, and it made me kind of shame me a little bit. Where he obviously is a Florida fan, goes to school there, and he actually wrote, "My school had a great week." They talked about getting the player from USC, about the fact that they're near a historic breakthrough in cancer cures
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth,
Right.
and they're just named one of the new Ivies.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, that's good for that guy. Good for that guy. He found some joy and harmony in some of the things that happened. And I felt good for him. I thought, he found some way to express his joy. I hope others can do the same.
But we're talking about college football,
Yeah, I know.
and ultimately, what does it come down to?
Winning.
There you go, big
David, you
fella.
always have to bring that up, don't you, David? You always got to bring it up. Just I get out there on my cloud nine and start feeling a little bit of the sunshine coming in down on me. I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
but you know what? But
David
buddy,
says, yeah,
but
they got a castle on the bottom line.
buddy, but how about all those years that Florida owned Georgia, and the Georgia fan was trying to, make their case as to their program and this, that, and the other thing, and the Gator fan just waited till they were done, and they'd say, "What was that score in Jacksonville? And where did you guys finish in the SEC East, and where did we finish?" Okay, that's what I thought. Nice talking to you. So, we keep score, buddy.
Maybe I'm
When we
being an
stop
old.
keeping
Maybe I'm being
score,
an old fool. I'm sorry, but I just want to. I
no,
want
no,
something
no.
more.
In mid-May, I'm glad that you're this way. Besides, it makes for you've got a write still for a living. So you want to read this time of year and leading into the season. You want optimism, cautious optimism.
All right,
You
help
know,
me out. You're a writer too. I'm going to write something tomorrow, next day. What do I need to write?
listen, buddy, you're asking the wrong
I'm
guy
asking
because
you.
No,
You're ahead of me, Dave.
I'm on the record as saying I'm not. See, you're writing for something that has the word gator in it. Okay,
Maybe I don't.
I mean, I don't want to feed the hype machine.
Mm-hmm.
This is where.
So what would you write?
Well, I wouldn't write anything. I
No,
mean,
you did
I'm
write
not
for the
being a.
Fort Myers News Press for a
No,
long
I wrote for
time.
10 years. I wrote 3 columns a week for 10 years.
So now you got to write one on Gators. What's it going to
Jeez.
be?
I would probably write a column that would say, "Close your eyes and just imagine this."
Okay.
And then just lay out where things for the first time in a while actually come together. I know it's difficult to imagine because, well, they haven't come together in a while. But it's not as long as you think. It just feels as if it's been 20 years when it's really only been 4. All right. And then I would probably just, write a a column along those lines, just kind of like, hey, just go with me on this ride here. Okay, this really is possible. I know right now you don't see it, you don't feel it, but it really is possible. And I would remind them of the 2012 season. I would remind them of even Jim McElwain went to back-to-back SEC championship games. For lack of a better phrase, happens. Okay, and maybe
You know what?
this is the
That's
year
a
where
that's a great idea. Once you write it for me.
happens
Yeah.
for our team.
Yeah.
That's probably, if I had to write something,
Okay.
what I
I
would
like
be
that. It's a
writing.
great idea. I'll see if I got it in me. Who knows? I
Well,
appreciate you, brother. I appreciate all these years together, getting your thoughts and getting
all
you on
right.
here. You and Allie are great together, by the way. Just you guys are. She hated to leave, but she had to. So
I'll let you know I'm unavailable next Wednesday. The whole NFL schedule thing I got.
okay. All right,
I
David. Go ahead and jump
can't
in
make
at
it.
a time when I need you the most. That's okay. So if I down the vine, and don't come calling to me and ask me if I
I
can
know.
get you on the air in Gainesville, because I'm saying no, I'm busy. I can't do it.
Listen, Fred Wiebe can't get me on the air in Gainesville. That's how bad the politics
I
are.
know. I know.
If Fred Wiebe, who's raising millions for this university,
Right.
can't get this little radio show on the air,
Yeah.
man, oh man.
Well, maybe it doesn't need to be on the air. It's on the air now. It's just a different kind of air.
Hot air.
You're a radio guy. Radio is radio's history. It's a dinosaur. What
It
you're doing
sounded true.
tonight is new. David, have a good week, brother.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care,
Thank you for
everyone.
a good night. Thank you.
Be
All
good.
right.
And
The great
happy
David
Mother's
Moulton.
Day.
Yeah,
Happy Mother's
Mother's
Day.
Day, everybody there. Yeah, for sure. All right, David. Good night. Thank you. That's right. Good idea. Happy Mother's Day. Coming up. My mom's been gone a while now. And the mother of my children has been gone now for 6 months, 8 months. And then my wife here, she's got her grandchildren and children. So we'll be celebrating Mother's Day this year up here in Panama City with my stepson and Dawn's son, Tommy. Tommy, who's running for sheriff again, who will just be a slam dunk. Tommy Ford's going to win in a landslide. I think he's been in office 7 years, and he'll be on at least 11, and who knows however long he decides to run. So I'll say Happy Mother's Day to everybody. I want to be sure and tell you about Rinstar because it's important for a couple of reasons. Number one, loyalty is a hard thing to find these days. I mean, think about it. I've just gone through some of this with situations I've been dealing with loyalty of any kind, especially in the commercial business. When you find someone in business is loyal to you and devotes long periods of time as your supporter, like I have with Rinstar Medical Research, you better grab a hold of them and clutch them and thank them because they're just like gold. The people at Rinstar are like gold. My friends over there, Joe and Mary, are just the best. They do some terrific work in our community, trying to find better ways to treat your ailments by these clinical trials they have. They want you to take part in these because it's not just for them, it's for you. And the more you do, the better odds you have of getting some kind of medications that will speak to your needs. When they get it back from all the research stuff they have, go to rinstar.net and check out how you can become a candidate for this. No charge for you or your insurance company. You could get special investigative medicines. You have a chance to be compensated for your time on some of this stuff and travel. And you'll find out more about Rinstar, who is looking for more information every day to give you a healthier life. So please do that. Go to Rinstar and check it out and support them. They've supported our community and us a long time. We thank you. Have a good night, folks. Thank you very much for joining the program tonight, all you listeners, and all you sponsors and all you guests. We've got great guests. Thanks to Allie. Thanks to Freddie Wiebe, the great Freddie Wiebe, and the great David Moulton. Have a good night, folks, and we're back tomorrow night for one more night before we hit it for the weekend. Have a good one.